I'm Tom Selway for Sense Media, and I'm here with Dave Robbins of Intrepid Control Systems. Dave, lovely to speak with you. Tell me a little bit about the company and what it does.
Intrepid Control Systems, we've been in business for about 25 years, and our sole focus has been providing tools for automotive electronics development.
How unique are the technologies that we're talking about here? I imagine that there are a lot of competitors that do perhaps similar things to what you do?
There's overlap with competitors. The problem is that this is such a new market. No one has anything really solved yet. So the OEMs and the people trying to make autonomous cars, they need all the help they can get. So our unique background is that we've built similar tools like this for the past 20 years. Basically, every time there's a technology change, we're adding that new technology into our solution. And basically, our advantage is that we have all that experience and how to do data loggers the correct way, how to make them work in the vehicle, how to deal with temperature, the environment of the vehicle. Where if you look at a lot of the solutions in this industry, they're kind of creating their own solution, PCs in the backseat, things that aren't designed for the car. So our experience in that, making things work well in the car, making them small, that's something that makes us unique relative to what a lot of the OEMs are doing. Because OEMs really they generally don't develop tools, but because they're basically creating everything from scratch, they've created a lot of their own tools, but they really can benefit from having professional tools. And that's kind of what we do. Is we have tools that are tested. We have QA. They're not focused on a particular person. So we provide global support. So we'll support not only the OEM in their home country, all the countries where they do engineering. So that's kind of the things that we provide relative to a home brewed, not professional solution.
So in the time that you've been with Intrepid, obviously technology has moved on considerably in this area. And would you say it's still moving as fast now, and it's quite difficult to keep up with that technology?
Oh yeah. So I actually founded the company, and at that time there was one computer in the car, and that was the engine controller. And now they have cars with up to 200, and that's before the autonomy situation, where autonomy is more like they had a large central autonomy computer, or maybe edge processing with radars and things like that. But yeah, over time there's basically technology shifts that happen, and CAN bus was a big one, which is a higher speed protocol than what we had in the U.S. And then we went to FlexRay, LIN, and then Automotive Ethernet in the past 5 years, and now autonomy. And autonomy is really, there's these sensors that are much higher speed and much higher bandwidth than past in the vehicle. So things like radar and LiDAR and cameras, we're talking gigabytes per second of data, which is a huge shift.
Just give me a vision of how big the company is. How many people are working on this technology for Intrepid?
Intrepid is around 150 people globally. We're headquartered in Detroit area. We have offices in California, Germany, the UK, India, 3 offices in China, Japan, and Korea. About half of the people are engineers working on products, and then about half of the rest of the people are engineers that are selling and supporting the products. So we have a great deal of different projects and different teams that are working on different solutions. It's a fairly large industry, and there's a lot of people doing different things. A lot of OEMs, we kind of help make their dreams come true in terms of they have big ideas, but they need a lot of help to make it happen.
Yeah. So talk to me about the tech that you have on display here at the stand this week.
So we have some. So we've been in business for 25 years. So we have all these products that we've had before, and we're kind of showing off some of the ones that we're tailoring towards autonomy. We did all kinds of data loggers for different protocols, and I would say this is our flagship data logger before autonomy. And what this did was it could capture CAN bus, GPS, video, and then provide it over to a cloud system for like a fleet engineering, fleet management. So customers can have thousands of their captured fleet, and then do kinds of tests, get notifications when tests are done, problems happen, the driver can push a button. So this is kind of like probably the state of the art in the industry as far as capturing that. And this is Neo by Ion, and it works with our wireless software. But what happens is CAN, FlexRay, Ethernet, some Ethernet, one channel. It's okay for this kind of system because the data rates are fairly low. When going to autonomy, we have these sensors that are a lot faster. So we've created something else called Rad Gigalog, and we actually announced it this year at CES, and we announced it very early because there was really no product out there in the market, and we've interacted with a lot of OEMs, a lot of the tier ones that are in this autonomy space. We gathered a lot of their requirements, and some of the unique things. The number one unique thing is basically the size. So if you look at a lot of these autonomy vehicles, they're big trunk computers. The car needs special alternators, special power supplies, things like that. Very large consumer PCs. Well, that works fine for like 10 vehicles or maybe 50 vehicles, but when you start to go for fleets, like thousands of vehicles, you really want something that the customer is not going to see, so something you can put under the seat and capture data. So like this small package, we have 6 terabytes, and we're expanding it to 20 terabytes next year. And we can capture a lot of the sensors. So for example, this is a very unique, most of the cameras now, they use a SerDes technology or LVDS, which is FPD Link 3 or a Maximum GMSL. There's not really a lot of good tools for that, and that's one of the things that we're adding to this is we can tap cameras, play cameras back, convert them to Ethernet, convert them to tools, different tools, but we can actually capture the cameras directly before they go into the autonomous controller. Because autonomous controller, they're designed to control the car, but not necessarily data log at the same time. So you want to be able to capture data and do the AI at the same time. And that's what this allows you to do. It allows you to capture the data without affecting or using any AI resources in the autonomous controller. So for things we can do is capture Ethernet. We have Automotive Ethernet, which is 1000 base T1 or broad R reach, 1000 base T, which is a standard gigabit Ethernet, 8 CAN FD, FlexRay, 10 gigabit base T. So this is really interesting. So if you look at some of the higher end autonomous controllers, like for NVIDIA, they have a 10 gigabit link, and we can actually plug directly into that. So it's a real clean, plug it into their system, plug it into this, power it up, and then this goes under the seat. So it's a real clean production level. And one of the requirements that we've seen is that to drive on these roads, they require data logging. So if there's an accident, they can kind of recreate what happened. So, for example, I guess there's a law in California that says you have to record up to a certain amount of time before and after an accident. And an ideal situation would you'd have an independent data logger that would record it. So if you're getting a car from this company, you don't want to necessarily use their data logger. So that's another feature of this is it can be, something you can put in the car, and then we can provide all the tools or standard tools related to looking at all the data, synchronized and things like that. Where if you look at all the OEMs, they're all making their own tools and they're not compatible, and they work differently. So. Yeah. Vehicle Spy has been around for since 1997. That's our software, and it originally was it grew just like with the technology. So we started out with a protocol called J1850, which is the original North America slow protocol. Then went to CAN. And we added LIN, FlexRay, Most. Pretty much, there's all these other protocols that we support as well that aren't as popular. But about 5 years ago, Automotive Ethernet came on board. The first applications were diagnostics and infotainment. But now the applications are for autonomy, so the higher speed sensors, because the sensors are fast enough where CAN just can't handle that, can't handle a LiDAR point cloud, for example. So that software has grown with it, and there are new needs related to software that are autonomy specific, and people call it visualizations. So if anyone talks about visualizations, I know that they're working in autonomy because that's the only place they use that. But we've always had graphical representations like gauges and things like that. But they want specific visualizations related for autonomy. So things like looking at a point cloud in 3D, which we have on our software, looking at video data, time synchronizing it all together with the CAN bus. Replay is a big thing, so what we're working on is being able to record data with like our data logger, replay it back. Maybe you want to just replay like an intersection over and over again. You can insert your algorithm code inside of it. It's for testing. So it's kind of we've added to Vehicle Spy basically the ability to look at the specific autonomy data like LiDAR or radar. We've already had cameras for a while, but we've actually improved it for autonomy, like more cameras, higher speed cameras, things like that. But definitely in that space, we're working on some of the problems that are in the space, like file formats. There's not a real good file format, I think. There's a few competing ones, but open source file format is a good plan. And just making the tools work better. If you look at like OEMs, like Waymo is kind of the company you look at. They've built a lot of their own tools, and that takes a lot of work. Really, what people need is they need off-the-shelf tools, because if you take the new some of the founders of the Waymo group, they started their own company. If you look at the job requirements they have on their website, they're still looking for people to do tools. Now the problem is that there's not that many people out that. There's just not a lot of people available to work on this problem, right? Yeah. So how do you make the most of the people you have? Well, you have to have tools that make them more productive, the ones you have. So that's kind of our goal, is like, here are the tools, they're off the shelf, and then your engineers can focus on like what adds value, like the sweet spot, like algorithm development, path planning, HD maps, or whatever.
Dave, it's been great to speak with you. Thank you very much indeed. All the best for the rest of the week.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
thank you. We'll have plenty more great videos on this channel. Make sure you subscribe.